Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at Warren Buffett. Not just the legend, but the actual practical advice behind decades of success.
Right, we're trying to get past the big numbers and the headlines.
Exactly. We're analyzing the foundation, these surprisingly simple, yet, let's be honest, incredibly difficult principles that built his fortune.
That's really the core of it. When you look at the research, his approach seems almost basic sometimes, but the consistency is phenomenal. Our mission here is to really distill that essence.
And what we found is that his success seems to be maybe 90% psychological behavioral and only maybe 10% pure finance wizardry.
I think that's fair. Discipline, patience, rationality, consistency, these are the pillars. You don't need some complex formula.
Okay, so we've kind of broken this down into three main areas. First, building that personal foundation, then developing the strategic investing side, and finally, mastering your own psychology, your temperament.
Makes sense. So phase one, the personal foundation, this is about time, habits, and frankly, just having the capital to get started.
Right. And the first principle here is huge. Harnessing the power of compounding. The sources point out he bought his first stock at 11.
11.
Yeah, it's an amazing story, but it really highlights his core belief.
Yeah.
Time is your single greatest asset as an investor.
He said it himself, hasn't he? Something like his wealth comes from living in America, some lucky genes, and compound interest.
Exactly. Compound interest.
Yeah.
They call it the eighth wonder of the world, but the key ingredient is patience. And that's tough, really tough to stick with.
The numbers really drive it home, though. The example we looked at compares two investors. Investor A starts at 25, puts in $500 a month for 40 years, total saved, $240,000.
Okay.
Then investor B waits, starts at 45, but they put in double, $1,000 a month for 20 years, same total saved, $248,000.
Ah, but the outcome is drastically different, I bet.
Totally. Investor A, because of those extra 20 years of compounding, ends up with over $1 million. Estimated, of course.
Wow. And investor B.
He's like around $400,000.
Yeah.
Less than half. That's staggering. More than double the money. Just from starting earlier. It shows the leverage of time.
It really does. But, you can only leverage time if you actually have money to invest. Which brings us neatly to principle number 2. Live below your means.
Yeah.
Way below your means, in Buffett's case.
He's the poster child for this, isn't he? Still lives in that same modest house in Omaha. Bought it back in, 1958 for about $31,500?
Yeah, it's almost unbelievable. Think about the discipline that takes. Running Berkshire Hathaway from a house that, costs less than a car today. It's a mindset thing.
Absolutely. It challenges most people's idea of success, and it supports that critical quote of his, the one about saving.
Oh, the paradigm shift quote. Do not save what is left after spending.
Instead, spend what is left after saving. It completely flips the script.
It does. Saving and investing become the first bill you pay, not an afterthought, like rent. Non-negotiable. You secure the future first.
And that discipline extends to the third foundational habit, investing in yourself. Continuously.
Right. The sources emphasize this has basically the highest ROI possible. Your own skills, your knowledge.
The quote is simple. The more you learn, the more you'll earn. Straightforward.
But the habit behind it.
Yeah.
That's what got me. He reportedly reads 500 pages a day. 500 pages.
It's hard to even process that volume, but he sees his brain as an asset, right? Needs constant input, constant upgrading, annual reports, journals, history.
Is that normal? I mean, even for top CEOs? Or is that just a Buffett quirk?
Well, the volume might be unique, but the principle, no. Continuous learning is mandatory at the top. What he models is that intense intellectual rigor. He sees reading as like essential maintenance if you stop learning.
Your circle of competence shrinks.
Yeah.
Really stops growing.
Exactly. Which is a perfect segue. Once you've got the capital, the discipline, where you put it. Phase 2, the intellectual edge. Strategic investing. Value. Simplicity.
Okay, and this starts with that famous concept, the circle of competence. Principle 4. Invest only in what you truly understand.
Yes. Intellectual honesty is key here. He's adamant. Never invest in a business you cannot understand.
Okay, but let me push back slightly here.
Yeah.
Didn't sticking rigidly to that circle mean he missed out on, well, a lot of the tech boom for years? Wasn't that maybe too conservative, a strategic miss?
That's a really fair point, and the sources kind of show his thinking evolved. He avoids complexity he doesn't grasp, not necessarily a whole sector like tech.
Okay.
So when he finally made that huge Apple investment, it wasn't because he suddenly understood chip design.
Right, he saw it differently.
Precisely. He saw it as a powerful consumer business, incredible brand loyalty, pricing power. Sticky.
Yeah.
He called it very, very strong and very habit forming. He understood the business model, the customer behavior.
That ties into the next principle, right? Principle 5. Think long-term and look for those economic moats.
Yes, exactly. The moat is that durable competitive advantage, the thing that protects profits from competitors flooding in.
And his time frame? It's legendary. Our favorite holding period is forever. He wants businesses built to last generations.
And he looks for specific kinds of moats. We can break those down a bit.
Yeah, let's do that. What types does he favor?
Well, the sources highlight a few main ones. First, strong brand recognition. Think Coca-Cola. People trust it, pay a bit more for it, almost automatically.
Okay, makes sense.
Second, network effects. Visa, MasterCard are classic examples. The more people use them, the more valuable the network becomes for everyone. It's a virtuous cycle.
Then there's high switching costs. This one's interesting.
Yeah, often seen in things like enterprise software. Maybe it's clunky, maybe users complain, but the cost and disruption of switching everything to a competitor, it's just too high. So customers stay put.
Inertia as a moat.
Pretty much. And finally, cost advantages. Think Walmart. They're massive scale, they're super efficient logistics. Competitors just can't match their prices consistently.
So strong brands, network effects, sticky customers, low costs. These are understandable businesses, right? Not black boxes.
Exactly, they're transparent. Which leads to the next point. Principle 6, really combining tips 5 and 10 from the sources. Avoid speculation. Avoid get-rich-quick schemes.
He makes a clear distinction here, doesn't he? Investment versus, well, gambling.
Absolutely. Investment is owning a piece of a productive business. Speculation is just betting on which way the price ticker will move next. He has very little patience for that.
That famous quote comes to mind. The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Brutal, but probably true.
It cuts right through the noise. And his ultimate protection, his 2 rules.
Ah, yes. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1.
It sounds almost childishly simple, but it's actually a profound commitment to avoiding permanent capital loss. It forces you to think about downside risk first before dreaming about upside gains.
Especially when everyone else seems to be making easy money. The FOMO fear of missing out must be intense.
Immense. That's why it's fundamentally a behavioral rule. It's about controlling your own impulses.
Which takes us perfectly into phase 3. Psychological mastery, temperament, handling market swings. This is arguably the hardest part.
Agreed. And Principle 7 hits this directly. Be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful.
The ultimate contrarian mantra. When markets are euphoric, prices are sky high, detached from reality. You need the discipline to step back, maybe even sell.
Right. And conversely, when panic sets in, when good companies are being dumped indiscriminately just because fear is rampant, that's when you need the courage to step in, to be greedy.
It sounds simple reading it now, but living through a market crash, seeing your portfolio value plummet, the pressure to just sell everything is overwhelming.
It takes incredible emotional control. You have to trust your own analysis when the entire world seems to be screaming the opposite. Independent thinking is critical.
But thinking isn't enough, right? You need the firepower to act on those thoughts, which is Principle 8. Keep cash on hand. Have that dry powder.
Yes. Cash isn't just idle money, it's an option. It's strategic flexibility. The 2008 financial crisis is the perfect example.
How so?
Well, while lots of institutions were leveraged to the hilt, scrambling for cash, Buffett was sitting on billions. Berkshire had reserves.
So while everyone else was panicking or paralyzed?
He was able to make deals, big ones. injecting capital into fundamentally sound companies like Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, but on his terms.
Because they desperately needed the cash, and he was one of the few with enough of it.
Exactly. He got preferred shares, warrants, incredibly favorable terms precisely because it was a crisis. The catch wasn't just safety, it was offensive firepower when opportunity knocked loudest. He turned widespread panic into a huge advantage.
It shows cash isn't trash, it's potential energy.
Yeah.
Okay, and the final principle, number 9, kind of underpins everything else. Choose the right partners and advisors.
This is about surrounding yourself with integrity and competence. It's not just about smarts, it's about character. Buffett's quote here is fantastic.
Which one?
It's better to hang out with people better than you. Pick out associates whose behavior is better than yours, and you'll drift in that direction.
That speaks volumes about his partnership with Charlie Munger, doesn't it? Decades together.
Absolutely. It wasn't just shared intellect, it was shared values, rationality, a commitment to integrity. That partnership was arguably a huge psychological moat against making dumb, emotional decisions.
A bedrock of stability.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wraps up the core principles we pulled out. If we try to boil this all down, synthesize it for someone listening,
Yeah.
what's the single biggest takeaway?
I think the synthesis is that Buffett's success isn't about some secret formula or incredible complexity. It's fundamentally about discipline, patience, rationality, consistency, and living below your means to fuel it all. It's a long game, a marathon.
And for people who, don't want to read 500 pages a day or analyze balance sheets for fun, he has simple advice too, right?
He does. For most people, he consistently advises just buying and holding a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Avoid trying to time the market, avoid high fees, just invest regularly, live frugally, and let the power of compounding and the American economy work for you over decades. Simple, passive, effective.
So it seems his core rules work, whether you're actively picking stocks or just passively indexing.
Largely, yes. The principles of patience, long-term thinking, and avoiding speculation are universal.
Okay, that brings us to our final provocative thought for you, the listener. If your own ability to earn, to think, to learn, if that's your biggest asset. And Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest, smartest investors ever, invests the equivalent of reading 500 pages every single day to maintain and grow his intellectual edge, his circle of competence.
Yeah.
What's the proportional investment you are making daily in your own knowledge, in your own skills, in understanding the financial world you operate in? It really makes you think about priorities, doesn't it?
It really does. A question of discipline and commitment, just like his investing. Something to ponder.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.